SB-9, SB-10s, they looked great on paper. They're not super popular. I've done very selected few. They're expensive. There are a lot of requirements and fewer than originally expected of properties in LA actually qualify to them. SB-9 allows for a couple of new options when you just own a single family property in LA. First and foremost, it allows for what they call an urban lot split. So we're essentially creating a new parcel out of the existing. For your property to qualify to that, first of all, your main home has to be built either as close as possible to the front or as far back as possible, because they give you two options for the lot split. The two options are either 50-50, so it's 10,000 square foot lot, 5,000, 5,000, or 60-40. Now, if you have a 2,000 square foot house smack in the middle, property automatically doesn't qualify, unless you want to tear it all down and start fresh. But generally speaking, we can split the lot, whether if it's side by side, if it's kind of like a wider footprint, or if it's a deeper footprint than front and back. We'll have to designate some sort of a common area driveway that would lead to the back, and you're creating a new parcel. You parcel it out, you can sell it, you can develop it, you can do almost whatever you'd like with it. In terms of the second option, or what you do after you split it, they allow 2-unit development on SB-9 newly created lots. So you can build 2 units in the back, you can build another unit in the front, so you have a total of 4 units on a single family property. Not super popular, pretty pricey, pretty time consuming in planning and in building and safety, but nonetheless an option. SB-10 took that a step further, which SB-10 allows up to 10 units on a single family property. A lot of qualifications for that. I personally have done a few applications, but I've never seen them actually develop to the maximum allowed, simply because it just wasn't, I don't want to say feasible, it just didn't make a whole lot of business sense for those circumstances that we were in. It's still available, but it's almost like it's getting sidelined in terms of the kind of focus and attention and promotion it gets from the city. Now 1033, on the other hand, that's the new one, kicked in this year, was signed into law end of October last year. 1033 allows the sale of an ADU independent from the main dwelling. Now, just to clarify, this is it's a bill, it's a law that went into effect last month in the beginning of this year, but it's an opt-in law. So municipality has to opt in to it for the residences, the people or the population in that particular municipality to actually be able to enjoy this. Now, City of LA is expected to adopt it. They haven't made an official statement yet, but they did publish some working guidelines for it that I will mention. They haven't officially adopted it yet, just because they're not prepared to accept applications. And I'll tell you, there is a very, very long pipeline of people looking to apply. And let me explain why before I even explain the requirements. I own a home that Claudia helped me find, by the way. Thank you, Claudia. And I converted my garage in my home. That garage is front-facing. All it has with the rest of the home is a common wall in the back of the kitchen. What I can do, and it's in Woodland Hills, by the way, I converted the garage to a 1-bedroom ADU, about 450 square feet. It's got a front yard, it's got its own staircase coming up from the street, very private to the tenant. What I can do is I can parcel out that ADU, not for the purpose of selling it. I have no intention of doing that. But what I'm doing is I'm creating a new property that I own free and clear. Now, if I take that property and I compare it to a 1-bedroom condo anywhere in Woodland Hills, you all would know better than me what the value of that is, what the cost of it. So I just created a lot of equity by following that process. So I can already tell a lot of you can kind of imagine what some of their clients can do with this or what they can do with this. Now, what the city's perception towards it, and that's why I know the City of LA will adopt this and would probably make it a lot easier than expected. What the city's perception about it is this. This is a condominium sale, is all it is. That's how they perceive it. That's how they will outline their requirements. We literally need a common condominium map. We need a common area map to be drawn by a civil engineer. We need an HOA, in a sense, to have that. Only once a new owner takes possession, right? So there's got to be a generic HOA agreement submitted along with the application to be able to do that. We get a new parcel number. The ADU already has an address, so that's easy. To clarify, the ADU must be individually metered, where if you have no intention of selling it, it's your option. It's your prerogative if you want to separate it or not from a meter's perspective. But when you're talking selling it, it has to be individually metered for gas, if applicable, and for electrical. It has to have its own electrical meter. It doesn't require water because condominium complexes typically share a water meter as well. They all have residential submeters, but the property in itself would be serviced by one main meter. I know there are going to be smaller municipalities that are not going to adopt this. Santa Monica, for example, already kind of vetoed it right off the bat. I'm sure a lot of other smaller ones. For example, we've had, this is a quick war story, we've had an ADU being built in the city of South El Monte. And the city of South El Monte did not recognize junior ADUs until 2022. And that's what our client wanted. He already had his garage converted to an ADU, and he wanted another one. It was an investment property, wanted to maximize it. And it's almost their building department looked at our application and was confused. They said, this property already has an ADU. And we said, well, this is a junior ADU. And they said, well, no, not in our town. That's not gonna be it. Some things take a little longer to be applied. City of LA typically sets the tone. City of LA typically is the first one to kind of jump in, try a few applications, make some conclusions, improve their guidelines, and so forth for a couple of cycles until it's kind of grounded.